The first time I experienced it, it was entirely unintentional. A hand brushing against mine, a sudden sharp intake of breath, and a heartbeat pounding so fiercely, I was convinced my husband could hear it echoing from the next room. As I folded laundry in Jake's bedroom, my son's sanctuary, my hand brushed against the fabric, sending a shiver down my spine, and I quickly pulled away, embarrassed by the moment. A jagged ridge pressed against the worn fabric of his sweatpants, abandoned in the depths of the hamper. It was a mistake to have picked them up. My thumb pressed against the seam, a curious impulse guiding me as I tested the weight, a decision I would soon regret. Yet I did. In that moment of revelation, a cold wave of dread washed over me, and my stomach plummeted into an abyss of uncertainty. It was more than just big, it was utterly grotesque, the sort of sensation that ignited a fiery blush across my cheeks, leaving my breath tinged with an irresistible urgency. It's the sort of detail that lingers in a woman's mind, a whisper of awareness that she tries to dismiss. Even when that woman had been part of his life for so long, taken in by another family, not by blood but by bonds forged in the fires of adversity, a seemingly innocuous detail that would come back to torment me in ways I could never have imagined. I let the pounds fall to the ground as if they were searing my skin. Yet the image lingered, dense and oppressive, pressing against the fabric with an unyielding force, and it only got worse from there. A flush of heat crept up my neck, betraying my guilt, a heat that demanded attention, relentless and urgent. In that instant, I realized I should have turned and fled. I did not. 3 nights later, the sound of the shower echoed through the stillness, a late-night ritual that stirred something deep within me. Steam curled under the bathroom door, and through the hissing cascade of water, I caught the unmistakable sound of his voice, weaving through the mist like a haunting melody, heavy with frustration. A curse slipped through clenched teeth, barely audible yet heavy with frustration. I convinced myself it was merely a routine check on him. Isn't that the essence of motherhood? The door stood slightly ajar, a whisper of mystery lingering in the air. Only what was needed. Jake stood beneath the relentless cascade, his head bowed in silent contemplation. One broad palm pressed firmly against the cool tile. The other hand moved with restless urgency, his body tense with unspoken need, his shoulders coiled with tension, water cascading down the sculpted contours of his back. And that cock, jutting thick and flushed in his grip, promised so much more than what I'd ever felt through fabric. My lips parted, a silent invitation hanging in the air. My knees quaked with an unrelenting fear. Then, a deep, ragged groan escaped him, echoing through the silence like a haunting whisper. And a shiver ran through me, my breath catching in my throat. That was the second moment when I should have turned back. Instead, my fingers glided over my own dampening flesh, echoing his rhythm in a tantalizing dance. Stillness enveloped the air, starving, condemned. The floor let out a haunting creak. His head jerked upward, alert and focused. In the shrouded depths of the fogged mirror, our eyes collided, a silent storm brewing between us. We stood frozen, the air thick with tension. Then his voice, raw and heavy with desire. Mother, my name is Claire Montgomery, and to the casual observer, my life seemed like a shimmering dream that others longed to possess. In the heart of upstate New York stood a sprawling Victorian home, its grandeur echoing tales of the past. Within its walls lived a husband, a respected cardiologist whose hands had saved countless lives. Their social circle sparkled with the kind of women who effortlessly hosted charity galas and spent sun-soaked summers in the Hamptons, weaving a tapestry of elegance and ambition that enveloped their lives. Yet, hidden beneath the sleek surface of my life, a profound emptiness lingered, a subtle yet persistent ache that had woven itself into the very fabric of my being over the years. Sebastian Clark, my husband, was a man of unwavering goodness. At least that was the street. He embodied discipline, radiated success, and exuded an unwavering politeness. Yet I discovered that the foundation of marriage was not laid in mere politeness. It rose from the depths of fervor, fueled by an insatiable hunger, born of a desperate yearning that eclipsed the very existence of everything beyond its grasp. And then there was Sebastian Clark. It had been ages since Sebastian Clark had cast those lingering glances in my direction. Our intimacy had settled into a monotonous rhythm, each moment unfolding with an unsettling predictability. As the night deepened, a gentle kiss brushed against the forehead, a tender promise whispered in the stillness before sleep embraced the world. The rare moments of obligatory intimacy left me gazing at the ceiling, a storm of thoughts swirling in my mind, questioning if this was the entirety of my existence. At 42, I sensed my body had become a relic, a captivating exhibit to be gazed upon from afar, yet never truly embraced, never genuinely desired. Asher was not bound to us by blood, yet he felt like a part of our very essence. We welcomed him into our home when he was just 16, a boy shattered by the sudden loss of his parents, old friends of Sebastian Clarke's, who had perished in a tragic car accident. In the shadows he lingered, a brooding teenager with dark eyes that held untold stories. His sharp wit flickered to life only in the rare moments he felt secure, revealing glimpses of the brilliance hidden beneath his silence. As the years unfolded, he transformed into something truly extraordinary. At 22, he embodied lean muscle and an air of quiet confidence, his smile capable of disarming even the most guarded souls in the room. Yet, in recent times, that unwavering confidence had begun to waver. It began with subtle shifts, the weight of unspoken words hanging in the air, and the way he would stiffen at the mere mention of romance. As twilight descended, I strolled by his slightly ajar door, and the unmistakable sound of frustration pierced the air, a sharp exhale followed by the creak of his bed, echoing the tension within. It was a mistake to glance back. A sense of foreboding washed over me, a whisper in the back of my mind that I had ignored. Yet, my insatiable curiosity has forever been my greatest vulnerability. The sight of him, shirtless, his back muscles rippling with tension as he gripped himself, sent a jolt of electricity coursing through my veins. It wasn't merely his stunning beauty, though that was undeniable, but the way his brow knitted together in frustration that drew her in. "Why," he whispered softly, the words barely escaping his lips, "why on earth is this happening?" His words hung in the air, unfinished, a haunting silence enveloping the moment. Yet I grasped the truth. In his grasp lay the very source of his torment. Asher loomed large, not merely large but grotesquely so. Thick and heavy, its sheer size made my throat go dry at the mere sight of it. And yet, beneath the surface, all I could discern in his expression was a deep-seated insecurity. In that instant, a perilous force began to awaken within me, because I felt it deep within me, a certainty that if I stepped into that room, if I allowed my fingers to glide over his shoulder and murmured, "Let me help you," everything would change. He couldn't bring himself to refuse. And in that moment I felt an overwhelming desire to do so. Then on a fateful night, the world as we knew it transformed completely. It was a Thursday. Sebastian Clarke was away on yet another business trip, a reality that had become all too common in his life. I had long since ceased to inquire about his true whereabouts. Asher's behavior had taken a peculiar turn throughout the week, leaving an unsettling air that hung around him like a shadow, restless, unfocused. I thought it was just the weight of college bearing down on me. The sound of the shower ceasing its cascade echoed from upstairs as I stood in the kitchen. The rich red wine swirling in my glass, anticipation tingling in the air. Moments later, Asher descended the stairs, clad in comfortable sweatpants and a relaxed t-shirt, ready to face whatever awaited him. His hair clung to his forehead, still damp from the recent downpour. He lingered in the doorway, a storm of unspoken words swirling in his mind, as if the air itself crackled with the weight of his hesitation. "Are you all right?" Indeed, he shifted restlessly, a sense of unease washing over him. "Indeed, may I pose a peculiar question to you?" A sly grin spread across their face.